So what's up? This is Code Neon here today to talk to you about perspective and gloving. And the first thing I want to cover with you is pretty simple, but it's the general concept of everything that's, where it all starts from. So basically, lights themselves are going to be always brighter when they're closer to the viewer, okay? And that's pretty obvious, but basically what it breaks down to is when you're closer, the intensity is greater, and therefore the reaction that you can get greater as well, okay? However, you're limited in moves and like speed and kind of, like obviously distance, okay, because you're so close. Now, those three things are what like controls your whole show, okay? Now, distance, speed, and flow, or DSF, is what I use to basically keep the attention of my viewer, okay? And by doing so, you also change the intensity, which creates a greater, chemical and emotional effect within the viewer, okay? So now, by using DSF, you can change your distance, okay? Which is literally how close you are, okay? Your speed, so another example would be finger roll, close, far away, or, okay? And then perspective, okay? By changing something in your flow, I've now changed the perspective of the move itself, which is virtually the same movements, but upside down, okay? Now, if you were to glove the whole time in the person's face, okay, it would not have as great of an effect if you build into your flow, okay? And that's really important, and one of the things I fail at quite often is forgetting that slow can be a good thing, okay? Because you kind of tease, you give them a little bit of, what you got, and then when the bass or the music really hits, then you just go to town, okay? And it creates a greater effect that way, and you also don't come off as, like, inexperienced or eager, and so that's also really important. Moves themselves can be changed, like I was showing with the finger roll, okay, simply by changing the distance, speed, and overall flow of what you're doing, okay? Now, tuts, great thing about tuts is you can start in some kind of tut itself, okay? And just like that move right there, if you were to do it from a different perspective, okay, you create a different effect with that same movement that you performed before, okay? So by moving and, your speed and your flow, you can change the effect that you have in virtually any school of gloving, Okay? Be aware of bad conditions in gloving, because that has everything to do with the perspective of your viewer. Like, this room itself is so bright that I would not give you a light show, obviously, in this bright of a room, okay? Because I want your attention to be on my gloves, not the room, not the posters, none of that, okay? So, that's important. The music level, okay? Or people talking in the room, even you talking, as to the viewer itself. I mean, it's cool sometimes, but to me, it takes their attention off of what's important at the time, which is what you're doing with your hands, okay? Now, comfort is also something you want to worry about, because if the person isn't comfortable, you will lose their attention. They're all like, oh, my back hurts, I don't want to sit here anymore. Whatever it is, if maybe there's some drama going on nearby, all like really bad times, for a light show. So, the last thing I want to cover is basically the timing of your moves to change the perspective of your viewer, okay? Things I've seen done with that are like, just at the right moment, coming outside of the range of vision and changing something about your lights that way when the right part comes back, you've changed something visually as well, okay? And that will, you know, that's going to mess with their perspective, and it's just kind of a cool effect in general. Building into a song, when it's slow, like I said, go with the music, okay? And, you know, like some songs start out super fast, and times like that I like to freestyle, but when it's slow, for the most part, I kind of go with the beat, and I build up, and then the bass drops, and I'm like, oh, or the beat, or whatever, you know, it picks up, and that's, you know, a perfect time, you know, to just unleash. And like I was saying with freestyling, sometimes the music is going to be like happy hardcore. It's never really like slow. Well, I mean, some songs I'm sure have elements, you know, in it or whatever, but for the most part, you can't get carried away with the speed of the song so much that you're like, just the whole time nonstop, because there is like a max out point in the brain where it's just like, okay, you have melted my face quite enough, you know, slow down there, pal, or I'm done, or whatever it is, you know. So, yeah, I mean, there's so much more I'd like to cover. There's probably going to be a part 2. Stay tuned for that. Much love, Code Neon.